So in this question, we are looking at integers, and in 3.1, we are required to state whether each of the following statements is true or false. The first statement, we have -5, we have 2 plus 1 in brackets. Is it equal to -5 multiplied by 2 in brackets plus -5 multiplied by 1? Let's do the number on the left first. So this is -5. So you must start by solving the thing in brackets first, okay? So we get a 3 in the brackets here. And -5 multiplied by 3 will be 15. But we have a negative sign, so that is -15. What is on the right? We must again do what is in the brackets first. -5 multiplied by 2, that is just -10. And we want to add that to -5 multiplied by 1 is just -5. So the -5, we place it in brackets. You'll see that this is -10, okay? You multiply a positive sign by a negative sign. What do you get when you multiply a negative sign by a positive sign? You get a negative sign, okay? If the signs are not the same, when you multiply them, you get a negative always, a negative sign. So this is -10, -5, and it's -15. So we see that what we get on the right is the same as what we get on the left. So that statement is true. What about the second statement? We have x, and we're multiplying it by -1 in brackets. And on the other side, we have -1 in brackets. We're multiplying it by x, okay? So when you multiply x by -1, what you get is -x. And when you multiply -1 by x, again you get -x. So the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, okay? And the statement is also true. Let's move on to 3.2, and we have to simplify this expression, and we must show all calculations, okay? So -14, when you add it to 5, that is in brackets. That means you do it first when it's in brackets. You multiply it by -8. So let's solve first what is in the brackets. -14 plus 5. If -14 was to fight +5, the negatives will win because there's more negatives, okay? What is the difference between 14 and 5? So we want to know how much bigger is, or smaller. Actually, if it's negative, it's smaller. How much smaller is -14 than 5? Well, the difference between them is 9. So if I was to give, yes, basically 14 would win by 9, the -14. Then we multiply that with -8. We multiply in two numbers. We know how to multiply 9 by 8, but we must also do multiplication of the signs. So the signs are the same, both negative signs. So our answer will be positive in answer, okay? In sign. So now when we multiply 9 by 8, what do we get? I want you to learn the multiplication method for 9. It's a very easy method using your 10 fingers. I'll explain that multiplication method in a separate video, but the answer is 72, okay? So you have an answer of 72, and this is your problem completed. So you started by doing first what is in the brackets, getting the 9, and then the -9, that is, and then you multiplied by -8. We saw that the negative sign multiplied by a negative sign is a positive sign. Multiplying 9 by 8 is the normal multiplication, and it gives you 72. You must know how to do this multiplication. It is always a good exercise to know your multiplication table, at least up to 10, okay? Up to 10 multiplied by 10, that is. So let's move on to 3.3, not 3.2. What do we have at 3.3? The sum of two numbers is negative 2. Okay. Let's just clear this out because this is a bit of a long problem. Let's clear this out nicely so that we can see all the details of that problem, okay? 3.3, and what we want to, we given that the sum of two numbers. What does sum mean? First, you must understand what the sum of two numbers is negative 2. Their product is negative 24. What is sum? Sum is addition. Product, multiplication. Okay. So we don't know these two numbers. Let's choose to call one of them y and the other x. So when we add x to y, we get, this is 3.3. When we add x to y, we get the number negative 2. And we are also given that, let's call this our equation 1. Okay? And we're also given that their product, so y multiplied by x, is negative 24. Let's call this our second equation. Now we've got two equations and we've got two unknowns, x and y. That means we can be able to determine the value of our unknowns, okay, our x and our y, because we've got two equations against two unknowns. Now you can choose any of these equations and make y the subject of the formula, okay? It's easiest to choose 1. Let's make it into y is equal to negative 2 minus x. I just transposed that x, moved it over, and it changed sign. It became negative x. And let's choose to call this equation 3. So now, what you do is you substitute, okay? So you want to substitute equation 3 into equation 2, the one we didn't use, okay? Into equation 2. So let's write out equation 2, substituting equation 3 into it. That means where we have y, we want to put negative 2, negative x. So we have negative 2, negative x. Let's put that in brackets. And we want to multiply that by x. Okay? And the other side is just negative 24. That's the other side of equation 2. What I did here, okay, let's get that in a different color. This piece here is just our y, okay? As given here, it's minus 2 minus x. We just put, this is all y. So we have y multiplied by x is equals to negative 24. So that we know that we didn't change the equation, okay? Now we start to multiply in, and x must multiply negative x, and then x must multiply negative 2. When x multiplies negative x, we have negative x squared. When x multiplies negative 2, we have minus 2x. And on the right hand side, we still have minus 24. We want to be able to factorize. So, but one thing you're always allowed to do is to multiply both sides by the same number. So I'm allowed to multiply everything on the left hand side by negative 1 and multiply everything on the right hand side by negative 1 also, as long as you multiply both sides by the same number, okay? So this is going to give me x squared plus 2x is equal to 24. All right? Now I'm going to transpose 24 and move it over the equal to sign. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 24. We have nothing this side, so it's 0. this is the equation we want to solve for x, okay? We see that now we can factorize, and we see that we look at the factors of 24, okay, and see which ones when subtracted from each other will make this 2. So that would mean 6, this is an x here, and 4. You can see the difference between 6 and 4 is 2. So the 6, since the 2 is positive, 6 will be positive, and 4 will be negative, okay? If you multiply this out, you'll realize that it comes back to this. If you do your multiplication, x multiplying x is x squared, x multiplying 6 will be 6x, and then x, so let's put that down, x squared, x multiplying 6 will be positive 6x, minus 4 multiplying x will be minus 4x, minus 4 multiplying 6 will be minus 24. And you see that if 6x is to battle against minus 4, we would have 6x win by 2. It's got 2 more power than 4x, okay? X squared plus 2x minus 24. So it takes us back to our equation, okay? We see how it goes back to our equation. That was just me trying to explain that part, the factorization, okay? So what do we do with this? We have a number in brackets multiplied by another number giving us 0. So this means that x minus 4 must be 0, because if this here is 0, we multiply it by something, we'll get an answer of 0. Or x plus 6 is equal to 0, okay? Because if this is to be 0, we multiply it by x minus 4 in the brackets, we'll also get a 0. Now we can see that our x is equal to 4 as we transpose 4. And this side, our x is equal to negative 6. So we have two possibilities for our x, okay? It can either be 4 or negative 6. Now, let's work with a situation when x is equal to 4. We go back to any of the equations, okay? Let's choose to use equation 1. We know that y, when you add it to x, you get negative 2. So our x is 4, y added to 4 must give us negative 2. And this is taken from equation 1, okay? How do we find y here? We just say y is equal to minus 2, and we move the 4 over, it becomes negative, and this is negative 6. So if x is equal to 4, y must be negative 6. Then what about the case when x is equal to negative 6? Then we can use the same equation. Y plus x must give us negative 2, and our y, so we put in the place of x, we substitute negative 6. This must be negative 2, and we see that y will have to be this number, and then we transpose as we move 6 over, and it becomes positive 6, and the answer here is 4. So when y is 4, x is minus 6, and when x is 4, y becomes negative 6, okay? And you will see that these equations are true. These two first equations that we were given, this first two, this equation and that equation, okay? Equation 1 and equation 2. Because if you multiply negative 6 by negative 4, you get negative 24. So that is true. And similarly with our x and y this side.